This is where Michael Brown was murdered on August 9, 2014 in Ferguson, Missouri. If you walk downtown from here, you'll see the city's revenue sources of the year before, from the stores where people shop to the unpaved shoulder of the road where black drivers and jaywalkers are disproportionately ticketed, to the taxes levied on residents for heating and lighting their homes, and finally, to property, much of which is not owned by residents. However, most property downtown is part of a tax increment financing district, which uses a combination of property taxes generated above a base level and sales taxes to fund projects on a pay-as-you-go basis, like expanding the police station where the officer who shot Michael Brown worked. On the other side of town is another TIF district, created in 1997 to redevelop land for Home Depot. Ferguson issued over $8 million in bonds to pay for the redevelopment of the TIF, locking the city into fixed payments for the next 20 years, even as property values declined. The St. Louis region is racially segregated. Whiteness is propertied wealth. This makes property values deeply unequal. With no redistribution of property taxes across jurisdictions, some cities are left with few resources. But when Ferguson issued bonds to pay for the Halls Ferry TIF redevelopment, the city had no problem accessing networks of banks, law firms, and planners, all within driving distance, and extending over national internet infrastructure. So who owns Ferguson's debt? One investor was Invesco, who bundled the payments from Ferguson along with other public debt and sold them to over 4,000 investors. Although shares of Invesco's fund are constantly traded, the profile of investors remains global. Underwater cables facilitate financial transactions, like the buying and selling of Ferguson's debt payments. Nevertheless, the vast majority of investors are in the United States. So when Ferguson began running a budget deficit in 2011, construction continued on the police station and municipal court in the downtown TIF, and Halls Ferry investors were paid through steady debt service payments, while residents were pulled over in their cars, stopped in the street for jaywalking, and then fined to fill the budget gap on streets like the one of Michael Brown's murder.